Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I am back with one more card using the Concord and 9th Over the Rooftops stamp and die set. I have gone ahead here once again and put my little houses together off of the video just to save us some time. And I'm just going to be using these houses. I've also pulled in here, I was showing you, I trimmed out those snowbanks in green, my green cardstock, and I'm going to use a little bit of mint tape to hold those together. This is going to create a tree along my row of houses here. So I've also used the little wooden bar that would normally go across the station wagon. I'm going to use that as my tree trunk, and then of course the snowbanks together will create the top of my tree. I'm laying out my sort of city sidewalk scene here, keeping it a bit more neutral, and I am not going to be using the spinny wheel, just these houses that I completely fell in love with. So I'm going to start by placing down my tree. I want to make sure I've got everything spaced out the way that I would like it. I'm going to add the trunk down, and then I'll add some glue behind this top portion here and press that into place. I did want to include the railing or fencing in front of the tree as well. So I have used 2 of the largest pieces of that railing and I have glued those together. I just overlapped one of the posts over another with a little dot of some art glitter glue. So it's going to give me a fence that is long enough to stretch in between those 2 houses. And I am just being very careful here to line this up along the row there where I want it. Now I do want to have just a slight border on either side of my card base, although I do think this would be really pretty just as sort of continuing on. If you probably had to add in another piece of that fencing, I don't think it would be quite long enough, but you could stretch these houses all the way to either end of the card if you wanted to. Of course, I forgot to mention earlier, but this is a slimline card, so that is 3.5 by 8.5. I'm gonna add some of my Spellbinders Pop Dots behind here, and I'm just making sure I'm keeping that fencing lined up. And I'm gonna place all of these houses down. I am using a very light gray for the panel of my card. I wanted this to give off sort of a wintry scene without it being too white. I just love this color palette with that pop of pink. It feels very Christmassy, yet very fresh to me at the same time. I'm going to use my ruler, just doing my best to keep that line of fencing straight as I go across my card base. And once I have the 2 side houses, or the 2 houses on either side in place, it's a lot easier to get everything positioned. Alright, so now that we have our scene all placed together, I want to add some snow, just little bits of it to give that hint of winter. I have pulled in my Marvy Snow Pen. Now this is running very low. I actually went ahead and ordered another one right after I finished making this card. This is one of my favorite things to work with on Christmas and winter cards because you can place little dots with this pen and then take your heat gun to it and it will puff up, and it really does give a very cool texture, and it looks a lot like snow on winter cards. So I'm going through here and just adding little dabs of this. I don't want to go crazy with it. I just want to give the idea that there has been some snowfall. There's a little bit left over, and it gives a little bit more of a winter feel to the scene. And I'm going to go ahead and add my heat gun, which is going to puff this up a little bit. It's going to be somewhat hard to see on the actual video, but you will be able to see in the close-up pictures that I have all of the great texture that this gives. I'm going to add a little bit more to a few of these. And again, hit that with my heat gun. I'm going to then take this over to my Misty, and using another one of the sentiments that came in the coordinating stamp set, I'm going to add to this. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and I am using my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink for that. For the inside, I'm going to stamp out Happy Holidays. This is again from an older Simon Says stamp set called Gifts of Love. I'm going to go ahead and add some art glitter glue to the back of my panel. I have created a slimline card base out of some Neenah 80-pound cardstock. I'm going to make sure I've got lots of glue on the back of this and around all 4 of the sides, and I will press that into place. Just going to use my bone folder to make sure that that's down nice and tight all around the edges. My panel was slightly smaller than my card base, so I'm just going to trim off that little bit of excess there, make sure I've got a nice smooth edge, and then we'll finish up by adding in our paper to the inside. And that will complete our card for today. Here are a few close-ups of the finished card. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I've used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment or thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.